Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gaybros, Jose.
where are we today?
I'm in San Francisco on my couch.
All right, and I'm in Chicago in my chair.
hmm Just like every week, almost every week.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, maybe. I forgot to tell you this. I may go there. They're telling me like for early next month, so not too far from now. But as I'm in the process of just buying my own place, I may not be able. So I will let you know.
We might be recording from a dive bar together soon, maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't know. I will let you know if I end up going. Definitely, we should actually just plan to watch like many movies and just record it. Pam, 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 pam. Yep. Cool, man. But instead of thinking about the future, let's just treasure like the gifts of the present, because that's what present means, a gift. And what did we watch today?
So this was my pick.
Oh yes, it was.
It's called Mass. I saw it last year in theaters. Recommended it to you so many times you ended up watching it.
All right. No, that's fair. That's fair. You commented it like many times. It's on Hulu, so it was like an easy kind of pick. That is like, I'm going to be like watching something that my gay bro recommended because he has like an amazing taste and he will never recommend me anything bad out there. So that's the one.
Besides, let's be cops. To be fair, I didn't recommend it to you. I just asked if you wanted to go watch it with me.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think that my partner at the time, he told me that, hey, you're trying to build a friendship with this guy. Don't be judgmental. He may have terrible taste, but he is your friend.
He did not say that.
Yeah, he told me. He encouraged me because I was telling him, he's like, dude, this guy Blake is asking me to watch like a movie that I would never watch in my life. And he's like, well, you're trying to just build a friendship with him. There are like sometimes that you also have to give, and you cannot be like such on your high chair. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have like good taste.
In fairness to me, I walked out of that movie with you and asked for our money back. It was so bad.
I think that it is like one of those looks that I do to you from time to time about like just staring at you and just like slowly, like shaking my head about like you should feel ashamed of yourself. And it's when you actually look at me and say like, no, this is not good. But yeah, that was hilarious. In any case, you recommended me Mass, and as this was your pick, I guess that I should summarize it.
I'm so curious to see how you will summarize this because, not to spoil anything, but not a lot happens in this movie.
No, not a lot happens. I could summarize it in 3 sentences probably. I'm going to be like giving a bit more of a, detail, because it's true that the trailer gives away like some of the stuff that happens in the movie that the movie likes to hold back to.
So I just want to say that there's going to be a major spoiler we're going to have to talk about. So like it's an important spoiler that will take away from your pleasure in watching the movie. If you want to watch it, just stop listening and go watch it. Otherwise, we're going to spoil everything.
The recommendation comes from Blake.
I would have been pissed if I had listened, if I knew what happens in this movie before I saw it.
Okay. From this point, we go into spoiler territory. Now, I'm going to talk. It's like the trailer. Similar to the trailer for Lamb, it gives away something that the movie holds back to for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the movie, it actually keeps holding back for another like really important piece of information for other 20 minutes. So it's like for almost an hour of the 90 minutes that this movie lasts. Let me just find it.
So wait, are you saying that your complaint is that the plot unfolds as the movie goes on?
No. Well, yes and no. Let me just go over this. So basically, the movie opens in a church. Well, a couple of people are organizing some gathering, some meeting. We don't know like who the people that they're going to be like meeting are or anything, and then they receive like the visit of a coordinator for the meeting. We don't know who that is, and it's just coordinating like 2 families that they're going to be like meeting here. Families that she has been working with one of them, and see coordinated in some kind of way, then gathering here, but the conditions for it has to be pretty particular, like as good as possible, let's just say. And she has been working with one of the families since that thing happened. That thing. And that's like, as I was telling you a moment ago, is that the movie just plays coy about like what is going on, you know, because they actually says like, oh, so were you working with them before ... And it's like, no, of course, I started working only after that. But you don't know exactly what it is. You don't know what these families, how they're related or anything. No?
I'm sorry, I don't think it's the movie playing coy. I think it was extremely realistic. They're talking about a very, very tragic circumstance that everyone is aware of, and you don't just go around being like, oh, so have you been with them since X happened? They're handling the issue sensitively and realistically, in my opinion.
I don't agree with that, because the thing is that the only thing that they're doing is like just hiding the war. Because if it was like so sensitive, it's like people wouldn't want to know anything about it. And the kid with the beanie is like he wants to know everything, but the script doesn't let it say the war. See, that's
noted. And yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt your synopsis. Go ahead.
No. It's absolutely fine. So basically, we have like these two families. We like the one that we follow at the beginning is not Oscar Isaac. It's something Isaac. That I always forget his name. Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs.
Very handsome man.
He's super attractive.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he's hot.
Yeah, and Martha Plimpton. So these two, we actually see them like just, they park there, they actually drive away because they're not ready to go into the church. And we see them like in front of a fence, you know, with a small knot to the fence, to the barbed wire of the fence. Because I'm mentioning this because you'll come back later. So they go into the church, they're introduced to the people that they're going to be like just coordinating this. And they just get into the room where we have like the table with the 4 chairs. Some minutes later, then the other family that is undone, that I think that is like the best part of this movie.
I just want to clarify. It's 2 married couples.
Yeah.
Without their families.
Yeah. They are like 2 married couples. Well, they're like 2 couples because I don't have to clear that Undot and Reed Birney, they're still married.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because one of them is actually the supposed father is like, hey, I actually came for I just traveled here, and she always lives here. She doesn't want to move from here. So everyone has to travel there. In any case, they arrive later, they sit down, they start talking. First, there is like a bit of a small talk, and then they try to just get close to each other, like get like a bit more like showing pictures of their kids. We assume that the kids are no longer among us, and then they want to hear stories about the kids, about each other kids. And then it's like the first part that we are being given about like the core or the kid of this story, that is like the kid of Andor and Reed Birney killed the kid of Martha Plimpton and Jason Isaacs. We don't know how. We don't know if they were like the same age or anything. We spent like a while like theorizing about like, well, maybe it was like some kind of like murder because he was a teacher or something, about a negligence, killed the other kid, until they started just talking a bit more. And then what we discovered is like this story is about like the parents of Andor and Reed Birney. They are the parents of a kid that it basically killed like a series of students in a high school shooting. It was a mass shooting. Yeah, and at the end he committed suicide. So it tries to just display, or it talks about like the psychology of what it is like to be the father of one of those kids, and trying to just talk about like, hey, this is how he grew up, this is like how things were for him, this is like how our family was, and this is like the kind of experience that we had afterwards. And they are connecting with the family of one of the victims, one of the kids that it was murdered, and how they actually just talk about the story, how everyone tries to just give like their perspective. So there are like very clear moments where everyone is like, hey, this is like how I approach this drama that it happened. And even if they are married, it's like everyone has like a slightly different way that I will talk about it later. And then at the end is Martha and Plimpton, after like just talking for an hour in there, she ends up like forgiving them for what happened. It's like no one ever like pressed charges against them. There were like some litigation, but there was never charges against the parents. They never actually blamed them, or legally blamed them. So she actually forgives them. They hug, and then there is like a bit more of a couple of stories, and then everyone leaves. Now there is like a bit of a point when there is like a bit more of an open-hearted. We have like another shot of that barbed wire with the knot, and there is a point that actually the bands of the movie become narrower. I don't know if you realize that it's like trying to just be about more like they're like getting closer with their feelings and about like the stories that they are sharing with each other.
I didn't notice that. Well done. Good observation.
Yep. No, I actually was, as I was telling you earlier, on the second part I was high, and I actually went back about like, did they do? And there was like this paraphrasing from one episode, like many times ago, many moons ago, that one of our very few guest stars said that is like, I hate when movies go artsy-fartsy. And that's essentially what it was like resonating on my brain about like, why are you doing that not thing? And why are the bands narrower now? It's like, okay. So I had to go back about like, did this happen? Did I dream it? You know? But yeah, basically there is like that hug at the end. The first couple, Martha Plimpton and Jason Isaacs, remain a bit later. They actually talk a bit more, and Dot comes back and she shares a story about like when she was scared with a kid, and then they hug again and they just leave. Yeah. Once again, and Dot is the best part of this movie. Her acting is impeccable, like the mother of the murderer.
Yeah, she's incredible. And also Martha Plimpton, she's a comedian. Like, holy shit, I thought honest to God, when I saw this film, I thought all four were going to be nominated for Oscars. I genuinely did. I thought these people are incredible.
Okay, so one of the things that we tend to like is like just movies that they are like theater plays. No?
This could absolutely be a play.
This could be absolutely be a play, but you know, it's like in other movies, like for example, like Reservoir Dogs, it's like I feel it's like this is amazing. And you know about like this could be a theater play. You know, it's like it's a very limited set. You know, there are very limited characters, and they narrate a story in a very lively way. In this way, it feels like all of the characters, they are like human beings. They are like, I believe all of them. I don't need to know like the whole life, but it's that they are like full-fledged humans. In this movie, I just felt similar to the boys in the band. There is these characters are archetypes. They are not real human beings. They're a bit more about like archetypes define about like how they approach a tragedy like this. So we have like the father of the murderer that is on self-guilt. We have like the father of the victim that is about like logic approach. There is I heard like some studies, genetic studies, that is like, dude, maybe there is a bit more of nuance to this. And then you have like the mother of the victim that is like just the forgiving. That is, I just felt like mind blown when she was like, I forgive you. It's like, wait, what? Where is this coming from? Is it the same person that I didn't even want to talk with them? Like an hour later, it's like, I forgive you. After some of the stuff that they said, that it was like just pretty heartfelt, especially like the mother of the murderer, is like, they were like just pretty, they expressed that they had like blind spots as parents. And you forgive them? The first time that you talk with them? No, I'm sorry. And Dot is the only one that I felt is that this is a loving mother. It's an archetype, but it's an archetype that I can actually believe.
I disagree with what you're saying. So the father of the victim, yes, he was looking for logic or for some sense, but he was also extremely illogical and like lost his temper, and he basically told them, we want to see you suffer like we suffered. It wasn't like he was just approaching things from a logical perspective. He was extremely emotional and gave in to his emotions. And yes, he read the science because he's desperately trying to come to terms with what happened.
But that science, it was about removing guilt from them. It was about removing guilt from them. Honestly, because it was like, it was not anything that you guys did like raising this kid. It was just because genetics, they would have explained it.
No, I think he was trying to blame them that, hey, there was something completely wrong with your son. and you ignored it and allowed this to happen. It wasn't about using blame, it was assigning blame to them.
I honestly don't see like that, from the perspective that is that they actually say that we went with a specialist, we went with a specialist and they did all the tests that they could. It's like what you are saying is just like pseudoscience. Basically, it's that you're trying to oversimplify this problem, because if that problem was present, is that don't you think that we actually look for help, and they actually say that all of that is in record,
Yeah, but I mean, they allowed him to stop going to therapy after he made a pipe bomb. And the dad pointed it out. You didn't see your kid building a bomb as somebody who could help, and then you let him stop going to therapy? Are you fucking kidding?
But that's the part that I feel is like the mother of the victim at the end, like forgiving them, is like, look, they're like glaring gaps as parents that they did. And you're like moving away. And then he actually, like the father of the victim, like just trying to use logic. He's like, dude, don't use logic. Like he did a pipe bomb. And they says like, well, he got better for a bit. So we just pretend that it was not happening,
So I agree that the sentence about "I forgive you" at the end, it felt a little bit disingenuous. First off, they did their best as parents, right? Everybody fucks up as parents. Everybody who fucks up as a parent doesn't have a kid that shoots up a school.
Yep.
So there's nothing to really forgive unless there was clear negligence. But at the beginning of the film, the parents of the victim, as they're kind of like announcing their intentions for the conversation, they talk about how they've been going to therapy and their therapist has been like training them on how to approach this conversation. It shouldn't be an interrogation. It should be about curiosity, trying to understand what happened. And obviously that therapy was to help them heal. And they say at the beginning, we're here because we want to understand and we want to heal. And I think that conversation gave her what she needed. So was it appropriate for her to say, I forgive you to the parents? In my opinion, absolutely not. But she got what she needed to heal, and that this was her way of putting away the anger that she's been carrying around. It was healing for her.
Okay, I don't honestly see how it was healing from where they started to an hour later when she actually said, I forgive you. Honestly, say for me, it just feels like, look, there are like some plot devices here that is like, you know where you want to start and you know where you want to end. And the problem is like of making a movie about this. If your script is not extremely sharp, it's going to be fucking hard to pull it.
And you think they didn't pull this off?
They didn't.
You're insane. That's all I'll say.
Okay, sure.
No,
I mean,
I hear what you're saying. I disagree with you. For me, this was ultra compelling, ultra realistic. The awkwardness of the small talk at the beginning is so painful. And it's like, that's just so realistic about how you would be approaching an incredibly painful and difficult conversation.
I will give you that part, and I love that you actually bring that part, because when it started, like the small talk, is that my boyfriend was telling me, he's like, this part is completely dumb. He's like, and I was telling him, he's like, no, that's pretty sure that's how a conversation like that will start. It's like, we are going to be like beating around the bush until someone decides to give the first step. But meanwhile, it's like no one wants to actually tackle this topic. No one wants to tackle like the elephant in the room. That part, I feel is like, this is honest. This is like the most honest part of all of this. Then is when they actually get into the topic is when things, I think that they start turning like more and more disingenuous. I wish that this movie was like completely honest from the beginning. It's like, look, this is going to be a conversation between a mass shooter and one of the victim's parents. So like the families of the two. Being like completely honest about like, there is no like holding back or anything. Is like, this is about this. There is no like surprise. There is no shock value or anything. It's like, everyone knows what this is about. It doesn't matter if it has been 6 years or 20.
I'm surprised. I always respect your opinion, but for me, this film, like the director, his name is Fran Kranz. He is from the Joss Whedon kind of like camp. It's first-time writer, first-time director. I was just blown away. To me, this is a raw, like, study of grief and a terrible thing that happened, and watching just two sets of parents whose lives were kind of destroyed or at least permanently altered by a thing that kind of seemed to be out of their control. Was there some negligence? It sounds like yes, but I don't know. I found this fascinating. I found the dialogue incredibly realistic. I loved this film.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I don't disagree. I didn't connect with it. I just felt like the script felt like a first draft of what it could be. You know, it didn't feel like just mature enough for actually just getting me into this conversation that is happening in front of me. It didn't feel like a theater play from the perspective of having live characters expressing. You know, it felt like just ideas that they were like just giving me text.
Let me ask you about something you said in the synopsis, that for 30 minutes they hold off giving you an important piece of information, which is the fact that what they're talking about is a school shooting and the parents of the shooter and the parents of the victim are there. What is the second piece of information you said?
Oh, no. The first piece of information is that one of the kids killed the other one. Oh. And then the second piece is like how, you know, that is like 20 minutes later. No. Is that one. The thing that I actually thought is like, I was not too sold on the directing on this. I just felt it's like this would have benefited like way more for having a bit more clinical style of directing, like trying to be like more detached from the characters and just being like more visceral about it. And what I was thinking when I was watching is that I wish that David Fincher had directed this.
I feel like there's not even enough direction to comment on, because it's literally 4 people sitting around a table talking. And
I disagree a lot, because I'm going to be giving you an example that we talked like fairly recently, that is Hunger. Hunger is like 2 people, like the main scene is 2 people talking on a table, and it's a mess.
One scene.
Of 12 minutes.
I think it's like 17, but whatever.
But you know what I mean? It's like, it's super raw, it's super visceral. It actually just like brings something across, a strength that I don't see here. What I see here is a TV film.
In that scene, didn't the camera just rotate around them slowly? I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I've seen Hunger.
No, I think there is like basically like a counter-like kind of thing. So you see only like the silhouettes of them. You know, they see like every single like detail, and it's like for 12 minutes there, and then they start like just shooting. You know, like just going like action, reaction, because they couldn't just like fit absolutely everything. But that scene is like just incredible. And this is like if the script was better and the directing was like more visceral, more like I want to be clinical. It's not about like me like just giving feelings with the action, reaction, you know, and the camera like just moving around and everything is like, I think that it would have benefits because it would just made it about them.
So when you say clinical, like a Haneke scene where the camera is completely motionless and they just force you to stare at something for a long time?
Yeah, that kind of stuff, or even I was telling you Fincher, because Fincher also likes to do that kind of a style, a bit more like Hollywood-like, but he's not so much. He likes to actually say, hey, we are looking at characters. We are not part of the scene. We are not action, reaction kind of thing. It's like, we're just looking at them, and they're going to be like doing their thing.
So I take umbrage with the fact you called this a TV movie, because screw you.
Not that you wouldn't like that.
Yeah, for me this was like, yeah, we we do not agree about this film at all. I feel like this was elevated as hell, man. I honestly, do you know the director Eric Romer? He directed the 6 Moral Tales, 6 different movies about a moral. So one of them is My Night at Maud's, one of them is Claire's Knee. My Night at Maud's is literally 2 hours of a conversation between a man and a woman in one room. And it reminded me so much of this film, but it was more visceral in its direction, the camera angles, you know, it's shoved down from above. And I was thinking, yeah, this is my type of film. So I like movies that are just literally like verbal conversations that don't have much happening behind them, along with the plays. So for me, this was a slam dunk.
I honestly just felt like weird about it, you know, because I was just looking at the beginning and was like, okay, you know, there is like this hyper chirping woman that is like, she's like completely out of place with what is going on, but you know, it's like, sure, whatever, it's like let's entertain her, you know, because I actually enjoy the interaction that they had after they leave the room and they're talking with her, that it feels like, well, they're still who they are, they found peace, maybe they went to heaven as in Eraserhead, you know. but she's still like the same character, you know, like that woman. And it's like, sure, let's just keep it. But nothing.
Did the film feel like 1 hour and 50 minutes to you? Like, did you get bored?
No, because between the second and the third act, I felt peace. And then at the end, it was like just like feeling a very strong emotion, but I knew that it was not the strong emotion that the film wanted me to have.
I feel like this might be one of our bigger spreads in points.
Probably it could be, honestly, because it's honestly when it started and I was seeing like that character, as I was telling you, I was like, well, Blake loved this, you know, so it's like I know that even if I am not in love with it, there is like something really strong here. There's like something really strong. And then I spent like towards the end like just thinking about like, okay, this is true that it would have been like a theater play, but the script for me is not good enough for being like a strong theater play that is held by the actors, you know. And then second, I just felt like so disingenuous, like the resolution about like I forgive you. The third part is like using those kind of art house resources of just like increasing the bands, like doing like the, you know, like why do they go to the barbed wire with the knots?
Yeah, I was a little bit confused by the barbed wire. I think that's where they held a memorial for the people who died in the school. That's my guess. Like in rural places in America, they do that sort of shit. It's not shit. Sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful. But it's something I've seen.
Yes.
Yeah. But that was a little confusing. But to be fair, we spent like what, maybe 20 seconds of the movie looking at that barbed wire thing.
No, that's fair. It may be like the memorial place, and they actually, when they went away from the church at the beginning, they wanted to see where it took place, but they didn't show the high school. They only saw like that knot in there. If it has only been like 6 years, I'm pretty sure that if there were like, how many students were killed? Like 14?
Yeah, I thought it was closer to like 9 or 10, but yeah, it was a serious.
Oh, no, or 11, because I think there is a point that is that, they actually said that there were 11 victims, but they were 12 because our son actually killed himself too. There was another victim there.
Yeah.
So they get that the name explicit. Is that if there are like 12 kids that they died, that they were murdered, or 11, depending on how you want to read the situation, they could be like just flowers around that point forever.
I also appreciate the fact that they didn't politicize this at all. There's one very brief conversation about how it seems the father of the victim kind of went on an anti-gun campaign afterwards. And they discuss it for a minute, and he mentions something President Obama said about how we're failing our... But literally, it's like, what?
1 second.
45 seconds, and they never address it again, which I appreciated, because for me, again, this portrait of grief is what compels me, and I don't want to get into the gun issue or the mental health issue.
I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like a bit disingenuous from the perspective that is that, hey, if you don't want to get into this, don't even mention it. Because otherwise, it's like, if someone just looking at the camera, is like, I could make this political, but I'm not going to. I'm better than that. And I want you to know it.
But how I felt that brief discussion went is that the father of the killer was kind of criticizing very subtly that he was making this issue about guns when it should be about mental health, and just acknowledging that people are assigning issues as responsible, and they shut it down so fast because they're like, that's not what this is about. Like, let's just talk about like understanding what happened, and that's it.
Yeah, because he didn't even have like the guns. The parents didn't have the guns. It's like he got it from a friend's house.
Yeah,
you know,
he
so
supposedly stole it from his friend's father.
Supposedly, yeah. I mean, yeah. So overall, I just felt like really flat, you know. And it's like I had the feeling that they're like movies that they piss me off when I see is that you have lofty aspirations, and it's like, as I was telling you earlier, it's like having a movie in the States about a topic like this is good. I mean, it's something that it should be like discussed like way more often about like what are the repercussions, you know, of the real victims instead of just politicizing it about like pro-guns or anti-guns. It's like, what about if we talk about the victims, the people that they actually got like directly affected by something like that?
And I was thinking, like, in the last week, I'm not sure when this podcast is going to be released.
Oof.
Maybe we can have, but there was a shooting in Sacramento that killed a bunch of people and injured 23. Was it today? There was the shooting in Brooklyn.
Yesterday on a metro station, a subway station.
Was it yesterday?
I think so. Yeah.
In the last 2 days, and yeah, like we forget, or at least I forget that there, you know, people who are so affected by losing loved ones in this way, and we don't really talk about them. We just talk about statistics. We talk about who's to blame. The Republicans say, oh no, it's mental health. The Democrats say it's access to guns. And it's like, there are families that are devastated because of these things that happen.
Yeah. And basically, like, these families that are devastated by the thing that happened is that they take like some of these angles in here. You know, that's the reason why I feel is that they are like vehicles, they are like archetypes for actually just like specific approaches to these problems, instead of just being like raw human beings that they can actually just fucking make me cry. I was expecting that this is a movie that is going to be like, move me. It's going to fucking make me cry. And I didn't.
I don't want to blame the weed, but I can't cry on weed.
I have cried on weed, believe me. You know, I'm like the kind of person, I mean, this is going to sound pretty terrible, and I'm sorry to my boyfriend if he actually hears me about that. I find easier to cry to movies than to real life.
Oh yeah, me too. I completely agree.
And it makes me feel like a fucking asshole.
Why? Characters in movies are way more interesting than people in real life.
No, dude. I mean, just think about, like, you know, you have like something bad happening to you. Of course, if someone dies or whatever close to you, you're going to cry. But I see like some kind of drama. I cried at the hours.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this movie got to me deeply emotionally, and I think I teared up at the hours. Yeah, when Julianne Moore shows up to Meryl Streep's. Yep. No.
That's that part is like, wow, that's yeah. On that movie, I know that it was recent, but it was like, okay, so we have like Meryl Streep, Julianne Moore, and Nicole Kidman, and the one that sucks out of the three, that is like the weakest one, is Meryl Streep.
I think it's just the role she had. It wasn't a great role.
No,
I mean,
okay.
Not that it was bad, but the other two had much more interesting things they experienced.
Yeah, I mean, they were like in a very, very clear depression. You know, they were like more developed towards that. But on this one, it's like, I just felt it's like, look, it's two families that they have lost their kids. You know, like one because of the other, you know, and the other one because of they don't know. They honestly don't know. It's like many, many different factors. So that's like the recipe for actually just feeling moved. And except in some of the conversations from Untold, that it was like, wow, okay, that was good. Everything else felt like so forced, so disingenuous that I couldn't get into it.
So I just checked. This movie made like $130,000 in the States in theaters. Even though it has a 95% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and the New York Times loved it. But so now the only people I knew that had seen it was me and my husband. Now it's you and your boyfriend. I'm sure you poisoned the well with him, but did he like it?
We didn't talk too much about it afterwards. We were like, sure, okay, let's just move on to something else. So there wasn't. The thing is, like, I just feel saving the distances like similar to what I felt like to I, Tonya. That this was a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, for me, this was
a slam dunk.
Exceptional. I can't wait to score this.
Okay. I honestly felt like they could have been more. There would have been like more realization of a message, or just leaving me like just thinking about it. And to the point that is that I think that I left the cinema more lost on thoughts when I went to watch Bowling for Columbine than this.
You think Bowling for Columbine is a better film than this?
From you're going to think about this, yes. And I'm sorry for saying this because we both agree that Michael Moore is not the best filmmaker out there, but yes.
Let's go over the questions before I punch you in the face.
Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times now.
Okay, I don't think that I will watch it again. So I have to be honest. Could you recommend it?
I recommended it to you like 500 times, and I just started a new job. Somebody asked me for movie recommendations, and I said this.
I don't think that I would recommend it. But if someone asks me, can you recommend me about a movie about like mass shootings? Probably will be like Elephant.
You son of a bitch! I knew you were gonna say that. Gus Van Sant does one mass killing movie.
At least it's better than Bowling for Columbine. Let's just be with that, you know. Actually, I'm now interested in watching Elephant again because when I watched it the first time, I didn't know that it was going to be about this, and I was like, oh. I remember like just thinking like years later, it's like this is like a way better way of actually saying it's like there was no problem with these kids, and they did this, than and all looking at the cameras that there were no problems with this kid, but he did that.
There was a time in my life that I thought Gus Van Sant, I really loved his work. We've never watched anything by him. We should watch something by him.
Okay, let's
start with Good Will Hunting.
Sorry, say again, which one?
Good Will Hunting.
Let's
joke.
No.
That was a joke.
Okay, let's not. I don't think that I'm going to actually was something that I gave like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck an Oscar.
I'm going to make you watch a very specific Gus Van Sant film that stars Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, and it's just the two of them wandering around in the desert.
Okay. Would you remember it?
Yeah. I mean, so I rewatched it for this podcast, and there were some things I had forgotten, but overall, no. Yes, I will remember.
Overall, no or yes?
Yes.
Okay. I think that I would only remember about like what is it about. I won't remember like any specific sentence or any specific development. You know, so I think that I'm going to go with no, because the parts that I remember, it should be on any summary and any synopsis of this movie.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't you say that this movie is supposed to be like the psychological impact of people facing a mass shooting? Like losing relatives, losing kids to a mass shooting.
For me, I mean, if you would call grief psychological impact, yes. Yeah. For me, this is a portrait of grief and trying to understand it and move on from it.
Yeah, so you are going to be like writing a synopsis of 2 sentences, as I was telling at the beginning. You would actually say that this is a story of just parents coming to terms with the grief that they are feeling for their kids that they died in a mass shooting.
Sitting at a table for an hour and 50 minutes.
Correct. Yeah. Like that, you don't need more for synopsis this. So for me, that's the only thing that I would remember. I don't remember anything else.
Yeah, and that's why before we started recording, I said that like the synopsis is. Oh no, this was on the recording. The synopsis is going to be short. It's all just like listening to them talk about one thing. That's it.
Yeah, but they hold back on it, and that's like one of the problems that I have with this is like, why do you hold back on this? It's like just embrace it, just strengthen yourself through that. It's like don't try to be like until 50 minutes into it, we don't know why she's so effective.
But I mean, I don't respect that as an argument, because it's like, why didn't they tell us what Rosebud was in the very beginning so we would understand?
Because it didn't matter. Rosebud didn't matter at all. It was about the life of Charles Foster Kane. No?
Yeah, but it made us interested. Like, hey, we're going to find out at some point what this is, and we all assume it's going to mean something.
It's not a complete MacGuffin. It's like you could actually remove that part from the movie and it would work the same.
Yeah, I don't know. I like plots that develop or that let you know what's going on slower. I like it a lot.
How did you feel about lamb on the trailer, like giving away like they have a lamb baby?
I thought that they were hiding or like, not giving away everything in the trailer. Turns out no, they basically gave away everything.
They gave away everything, but the movie actually held back.
That's not the trailer's fault. There's just nothing in Lamb.
Okay, that's fair. There was absolutely nothing. One that you see the lamb is like, okay, sure, whatever. But the trailer actually gave it away because they knew that otherwise there was no way of actually just like bringing people to the cinema. In this case, I just felt it's like, hey, the trailer gives away that one of them killed the other. You don't know how, but you know that. And the movie holds deliberately that information.
Yeah.
So for me, is that the only part that I will remember is that twist, that reveal, let's say. Is there anything artistic about it?
I would say yes. Again, I don't think the direction was that strong, but not much was required. I may disagree. I do think the script was remarkable. That's artistic. I think the performances were artistic. And both of us get geeky about movies that could be plays. So, yes.
Yeah. I'm debating on this because the thing is, as we're saying, like the directing, I don't think there is anything too special. The acting from Andor, I think that it was like an standalone acting.
I love her. I love her so much.
I'm surprised that she didn't have like a more popular career because I'm thinking about like Handmaid's Tale, and she's also like the best. And just being the best in a show that Elizabeth Moss is sitting next to you as a tormented human being is like a pretty big merit,
I can't with Elizabeth Moss. I can't.
You can't?
No.
I thought you liked her.
I think she's talented, but the Scientology thing makes me like.
There were, but the thing is, like, she was born into that, and she has done like just multiple comments about like just borderline offensive toward like Scientology, but she's always like a bit more is that, hey, if I want to remain in contact with my family, I cannot cross that line. So she's always like just playing it by the rules. That's my understanding from what I read, But in any case, I think that Elizabeth Moss is like super talented. I really like her. It's one of those like actresses like you are not prettier, so you get what you get. I mean, I'm sorry. Look, she's not like enough like Jessica Chastain.
I think she's beautiful unconventionally. That's my opinion.
Like Uma Thurman. No, Uma Thurman is prettier.
Yeah,
she's way prettier. But she has, like a nose and everything that is not exactly the standard. And she actually was lucky with just running into Quentin Tarantino's like, look, I don't care. You're fucking amazing. I just want to work with you.
Yeah.
And Lars von Trier.
I was like, what? He has a big nose too? He does, but...
He does, but no, not because of that. But I cannot... There is, God, because I love like those movies that they are like a theater play, but it's that this movie, instead of actually embracing it, I felt like he was afraid about like just being too simplistic and just being like too visceral instead of, dude, I don't need anything else. It's like just put this room, just try to make it like as uncomfortable as possible. Just make me feel uncomfortable for just seeing this in front of me. That's the only thing that I care. I didn't do it. He just went for a bit more of a cinematographic style that is like, nah. So I will go with no.
You have to admit, though, it's impressive for a first-time writer-director.
Let's just say that I'm curious to see what he's going to be like doing next. As I told you, I already gave him this, is that I think that this could have been better because the idea is good. The idea is something that I think that it deserves to be explored. But I walk away almost as I step into it.
This film devastated me in the best way possible.
Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, that's what I was telling you before we started recording. I didn't want to give you any score or if I liked it or not, because I think that they're like several factors here about like how it resonates like differently to us. Is like for me, I didn't grow up in the States, so for me it's like just mass shootings is something that I heard like from very, very far away. I think that the first mass shooting that happened when I moved here, it was the Sandy School one, that it was like one of the largest ones.
Sandy Hook.
Yeah. And
yeah, Columbine.
That was before.
90s?
It was before, you know, like 2000s, early 2000s, maybe.
That's the first time I became aware of that thing. That could have been the first one, maybe. I don't know.
I would be surprised, I mean, because Elephant is also about like Columbine, no?
Yeah, it's supposed to be inspired by it.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's like if they reuse the name. And Bowling for Columbine is based on Columbine. And I remember like watching that on the cinemas. But this one, I don't connect in an artistic level with it. And when they're using like the bands and the notes and everything, I just felt like this is so heavy-handed that it actually just plays against. And even like just pause, I went back to the scene when it actually just like the band changes and it says like, look, if your script is good enough, if it's like raw enough, if it's honest enough, you're not going to be needing this. You're not. It's that this is actually just like watering down the end result. Or you don't realize about it, like in your case, or did you realize about it, you're like, why are you doing this? There is no
Yeah, and I saw it in theaters, so I was paying very close attention. It wasn't like I was distracted. No, I'm just saying that, yeah, I didn't notice it, but I was definitely paying attention, so...
Just check it out, because I was like...
Yeah, I will. I'm curious about it.
Yeah, because I went back, so I can confirm it's like, that happens, but it was like just one like maybe they didn't do it in the cinema, maybe in the cinemas was always in 16:9 or something, but it just felt a bit of and I even, after watching this, I played for my boyfriend like the trailer of A Ghost Story, First Reform. They're like just movies that they are like just shot in 4/3. That is like, look, they're going for this kind of constraint, kind of just building pressure because of the smaller kind of surface. And in this case, it's like...
Cut off.
Say again?
Just like Meek's Cutoff that you didn't...
But artistically, that movie is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I cannot fight that, you know. And this one, I just felt it's like, I don't see the art of this.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it a timeless piece?
Yes.
I'm going to go with yes too. I'm going to go with yes because I think that is like at least what it tries to do, that is about like just displaying like the pain of parents losing their kids.
Yeah.
Would you turn this into a TV show?
Nope. I think this was perfect as well. Well, not perfect, but it's meant to be a short movie. Well, it's not even that short. It's an hour and 50 minutes. But no, if I had to like wait a week between episodes, I think it would lose its emotional inertia.
That's a good point. And I just wanted to ask you something. Do you think that this movie could have benefited from not having the build-up at the beginning, just starting with them stepping into a role?
I appreciated it. What you didn't like about the movie, I liked that I didn't know what was going on, and I liked wondering why was the stained glass thing offensive? Not offensive, but concerning. It wasn't sensitive enough. Like, I liked just like wanting to find out what happened. I liked all of it.
No, okay.
I also really liked that worker from the church. Now, she was an archetype. I'll give you that.
It was too much. It was just way too much. Do you think this movie could have been better?
I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't know what to change about it, so I'm going to say no.
For me, I already mentioned, I think that is yes, but I think that is just reviewing the script a couple of times, just making a bit more like heartfelt, and making a bit more impactful, and just fucking removing the first year of film school resources that they use. That is, it's stupid. It's not use it. We were talking about like a Eraserhead before. It's like Eraserhead doesn't fucking care about that. He's like, hey.
Yeah, Eraserhead as a film exists in a different universe than this film.
But I mean, honestly, I had to say something. Seeing these two movies like back to back, it makes me love cinema even more. Regardless if I was not in love with this movie, it's like cinema has room for something as fucking insane and random as Eraserhead, and just feeling like something super compelling, and at the same time mass. That is like, regardless if I like it or not, it's like a bit more like down to earth a story that it tries to make me reflect about like the implications of something in real life.
Yep, I agree.
That is it's as a medium, it's incredible. It's like I can just have like 2 hours of my life into just 2 complete different universes.
Yep, that's why we love movies.
Yeah. So before we go into a score, do you have any movie that you want to ask about? If I remember,
I sure do. In one moment, I would like to know what you remember about Bacurau.
I remember that we recorded Al de Alta Vista.
That's not about the movie.
It's not about the movie. It's about like when we recorded. Bacurau. So
you can't Google it.
No. I was just writing like the name for the spreadsheet. I remember there's a Brazilian movie. It takes place in a small village that is called Bacurau, and there is like conflict in the country as a whole in Brazil that we discuss about like we may not understand all the kind of weird stuff that is going in there, but there was
the history of like clearly there are things that we referenced that we weren't getting.
Yeah, in the country they have like some kind of resource constraint. They are like just a bit more like just limited by resources, and there is a guy that left that is coming back into the city, and they're being like haunted. I think that is like by the how do you say this in English? Sorry, let me just. I'm not googling.
No, it's fine. I can tell you remember a lot about this film.
Yeah, it's like the cacique. Is that a word? Cacique. CACIQUEUE.
If it is, I don't know it.
Okay, or chieftain boss, but it's a bit more like the politician of the area. That is, they're just trying to hold them down because they know they have like something that they want. So they send like some mercs that they are American mercenaries. They just hand them down. So
And
there is like
British.
I'm British too. Yeah, it's a bit more about like the colonization, the conquistadores. You know, they're like coming back for just like running over there. So they fight, they get killed.
But weren't they hunting them for fun?
No, there was something like the mayor wanted from there. You know,
Because the town disappeared off the map, off Google Maps. Why did the town disappear?
yeah. So they disconnected from everything else, from the rest of the world. You know, for a while. They actually fight the conquistadores, and then at the end, I think that they actually get the mayor naked or in their underwear, and they just send it in a horse or a donkey into the direction. I only remember that because it was a bear. It was like a chubby bear, and it was like.
And they locked someone up in a cell underground. Maybe it was.
Maybe it was him after that. Yeah. So I remember more than I should.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I remember like quite a bit. I just remember saying that is we had like a very good conversation here. That it was, you can make a movie that is based on the socioeconomic reality of the country, but if you actually require to have that context for appreciating your movie, then you fail at it. And I think that that's what happened with Bacurau. That is it looks like there is more here. I don't get it.
Right. It was water rights. I just looked it up on Wikipedia. That's what they wanted. Was the water?
Gotcha. The water they had. Okay. Cool. So should we score mass?
We should. This was my pick, so you have to go first.
So I'm going to go with a 6. I think that is.
It's not that big of a spread for us. I'm going with an 8.25 just because we just watched
Eraserhead.
Eraserhead, and before that it was The Hours.
Oh no, it was like Everything Everywhere All at Once before that.
And I get that 8.5 too.
8.25 because you didn't want to give it the same score as The Hours.
That's fine. I'm 8.25.
Yeah, no, this is definitely like the biggest spread that we have. You know, it's like, and that's like one of those things.
points.
So
It's only 2.25 points.
it's not as dramatic as Brazil, for example, but I just feel like part of it comes from how we relate to this kind of drama. You know, that is like, for me, it's a bit farther away, and I need more of a visible feeling, you know, to it. And for you, I may be wrong, you know, but it's like what I actually hear from you is a bit more of this being treated in the cinema, you know, is important, and it actually has like a value on its own. That is,
And also, I got that visceral emotion.
you know,
So
right?
it worked for me. It didn't work for you. That's fine. This is definitely more up my alley. You know, just sad people talking.
Being unhappy. Well, but these ones, they actually had a reason for being unhappy.
Right. Just not existential ennui.
Yeah. But it's not like there's no storm on the ice storm, whatever it's called. It's like, no, everyone, or little children. It's like, everyone should be happy here, but they're not. But they are. Okay, mate. There is an interesting thing. We didn't discuss what we're going to be like watching this.
And it's your pick. So, election?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I actually saw the other day like this title. I'm going to make you watch a very slow, artsy-fartsy Chinese movie.
Okay. I like slow art movies.
And I usually, like, you enjoy Asian slow movies, like very artistic.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch, because I've been like desiring to rewatch this, Long Day's Journey into Night.
I don't know anything about that film, so I can't wait to watch it. I was hoping you were going to ask to watch Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring again.
Gosh, that would be good. I mean, I really want to watch Iron 3 from Kinky Duke, because that spring, summer, blah, 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 I was like mind blown.
It was such a good movie. It was such a good movie.
It was like 2 hours. Like, you guys actually took a year for shooting this. Hats off. Someone that is like willing to put up with that, hats off. There is no excuse here.
All right, well, I can't wait to discuss that, and you're going to have to send me the title because I can't remember movie titles anymore.
That's actually fine. Okay, anything else to say? I checked earlier on Anchor. I don't want to jinx this, but there were like 12 active listeners.
Whoa. So the 12 of you, wash your hands. You can make a difference.
Okay, bye.